What's up, everybody? Welcome to a Wednesday edition of The Squeeze. I am Tyler Connie. I'm decked out in the Blue Jays gear using one of my favorite mugs. There's coffee dripped all over the front of it there, but the Toronto Blue Jays 1991 All-Star Game mug. We are decked out because it is that time of year. We are approaching September. The Blue Jays are in a playoff hunt. Big win yesterday against the Baltimore Orioles, so we are all in on that. Thank you for joining me back after our off day on Tuesday. I took the day completely off the books, didn't look at a single thing. Played some MLB The Show last night, got the Sammy Sosa MVP 99 card. Very excited to play around with that, but it's nice. I do always suggest, one thing that kind of gets lost in the shuffle, it's sort of this dichotomy, right, where I talk about betting almost every single day, and I don't want to say I encourage you to bet. I'm just telling you what I'm betting. You can do what you want with it, but obviously it's centered around betting. But I would always preach bankroll management, know what a unit is. So again, when I make these bets and I pay the juice, so one of the bets today is minus 125, paying 1.25 units. A unit is 1 to 3% of your bankroll. You decide whatever that's going to be. So if you have $100, you should be betting between $1 and $3 per bet. It doesn't sound sexy. It doesn't sound lavish. I know that that's not necessarily the... You have to kind of decide how you want to do it, right? Like if you're watching this channel and you say on a Friday night, I just want to spend 20 bucks and have some fun, parlay the picks. I don't care. I'm not going to suggest that you do it, but if you want to make my picks into a parlay, go ahead. They usually add up to probably $600-700. Buy your little lottery ticket, hope to win some pizza money, whatever it is that you do. I come from a poker background, and bankroll management is important. I make 3 bets every single day. If I lose every single bet, I will eventually go broke. But if you practice proper bankroll management, meaning I'm only betting 1 to 3% of what I have every time, which is all relative, then you can increase, which I have actually increased my unit size a little bit going into this week because we've been doing well over a long period of time, and I feel like I've proven to myself that, on this channel we're up over 55 units, that let's do that. So it all just kind of depends. So I always preach that. Be careful. Take a day off when you need it. Don't get, caught up in it, and make sure that it remains fun, because at the end of the day, you're not going to get rich doing this. If you want to actually do the equation, the best bettors in the world win 55 to 60% of their bets. So let's say whatever you make in a year, calculate how much money you would have to spend in order to make that amount of money winning 55% of your bets. Even for a minimum wage part-time job, you need to be betting $300-400 per bet. Probably don't want to be doing that. Anyway, that's my little thing for this morning. 2-2 day on Monday. Let's get into today. Obviously, I'm betting on the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm decked out head to toe in the gear. Toronto Blue Jays are facing the Baltimore Orioles in Game 2 of a massive series here in terms of the playoffs. Jays are 7 games back, but they're looking more in terms of the wild card. They won last night 6-3 in extra innings. Hell of a baseball game. And now today you've got Kevin Gausman returning home, returning to the team that originally drafted him. And I like the Blue Jays' chances because Kevin Gausman is the type of guy that he gets fired up. He plays with a passion. He plays with a little bit of an edge. And I think some players maybe shy away from this sort of thing. He's going to go full bore into it. So I like the Toronto Blue Jays on the money line in the first 5 innings. I've got 2 money line first 5 inning bets, and I say this every time. I like these because if it's tied, it's a push. Anytime you can get that little bit of an edge where, you can get your bet back, it's not just straight up win or lose, I like it because it adds this third little dimension. Listen, not winning a bet sucks, but not losing a bet is also great. So it's minus 125, but there is the push potential there. You've got Kevin Gausman. He's 2-3 over his last 5 starts. But if you take out his last start against Philadelphia, he's pitched very, very well. He had a bit of a rocky outing. He gave up 5 earned runs in 5 1/3 innings against the Phillies. But previous to that, he went 7 innings against Cleveland Guardians, struck out 6, gave up 0. Time before that, he pitched against Baltimore. The Jays lost, but he only gave up 3 innings and struck out 6. He beat the Dodgers with 9 strikeouts, 1 earned run across 6 innings. So he has pitched well. He's arguably the second in the race for the Cy Young. He's been one of the best pitchers in baseball this year. And he's going up against Jack Flaherty, who was acquired from from the Cardinals. But he hasn't been great since he came over to Baltimore. He had a great first start. That was actually the same game he pitched against Gausman. He went 6, struck out 8, and only gave up 1. But since that time, he's gone 5 innings, given up 3 earned runs to Houston in a loss, and last time out, he gave up 7 earned runs across 3 innings to the San Diego Padres. So he hasn't been great. I think I keep saying this. At some point, like when you look at the Toronto Blue Jays metrics, it's interesting because they are 69 and 51 to the under, but all their offensive metrics, aside from runners in scoring position, are in the top 5 or 6 of all of baseball. So they're just not getting the right hits at the right time. You want to say eventually that has to happen. They're getting on base, they're getting hits, they're just not getting them with runners in scoring position. So we'll see, but I like the Blue Jays here, and Kevin Gausman, I'm backing him first 5 innings, money line, -125. That's at Bet365. The other bet I like that's a first 5 inning bet is between the Boston Red Sox and the Houston Astros. I'm going to take Boston here in the first 5 innings. Again, if it's a tie, it's a push. Plus 106. This is at FanDuel, and this is based, I mean, Boston's played really, really well. They've lost the first 2 games of this series against Houston, so I like them salvaging the final game, which is always nice. But when you take away those 2, they'd won 3 straight games. They swept the Yankees, and they'd won 7 of their last 10 games previous to the 2 losses against Houston. They're still 6-4 in their last 10 overall. When you look at Houston, they're 5-5 in their last 5. They've won the 2 straight against Boston, but before that, they got swept by Seattle. They won 2 of 3 against Miami, but did lose 2 of 3 against the Angels. And when you look at the pitching matchup, for Houston today, you've got Jose Urquidy, who hasn't been great. In his last 5 starts, he's only averaged 4 innings. He did have a good start last time out against the Angels. He went 5 innings, struck out 7, gave up 1. But before that, he went 3 1/3, gave up 5 to the Yankees. He went 5 1/3, gave up 2 to the Phillies. 2 2/3 innings, he gave up 6 to Tampa Bay. And 4 1/3, and he gave up 4 to Toronto. He's walking guys. He's walked 3, 1, 2, 2, and 3 in his last 5 starts. And on the flip side for Boston, you've got Chris Sale, who's been phenomenal, regaining his form of old. He's 4-1 in his last 5 starts with an ERA of 1.4. Has not given up more than 2 earned runs in any of those last 5 starts. He gave up 2 against Detroit. He gave up 1 against Cincinnati, struck out 6. Gave up 1 against Arizona. Gave up 2 against San Diego. And he gave up 1 against St. Louis. Now, a few of those are back before an injury. He's only had 1 start back from his injury. But again, he went 5 innings, gave up 2, and did strike out 7. So Chris Sale, I think, is the prime candidate for them to salvage the last game of this series against the Houston Astros. Houston is only averaging 3.7 hits per 9 innings against left-handed hitters, averaging 0.6 extra base hits. So they do hit better against righties. So give me the Boston Red Sox on the money line in the first 5 innings for plus 106 at FanDuel. And your last bet of the day, we move to the WNBA. We've got the Phoenix Mercury at the Los Angeles Sparks, and I'm taking the Sparks here to cover the spread of -7.5. This is -115 at DraftKings. So the Lakers, the Sparks come into this 13-18, so not great, but Phoenix is even worse. They're 9-23. LA is 15-14-2 against the spread this season, whereas Phoenix is 12-20. So Phoenix is getting beat, and they are not covering at all. These teams have played, where did it go here? They've played 3 times this season. Phoenix won the last one, 78-72, won by 6. Previous to that, LA won by 6 in overtime and won by 23 points back in May. And then when you look at the recent trends, they've just been trending in the opposite direction. So Phoenix is 3-13 ATS against the Western Conference this season. Mercury are 9-23 the last 32 times they've played on 2 days rest. When you look at LA, they're 8-0 ATS in their last game, 8 games overall. They've been on fire there. They're 7-0 ATS in their last 7 following an ATS win. And then when they play against each other, the Mercury are 3-13 against the spread the last 16 times these two teams have played in Los Angeles. So, as I mentioned, the Sparks have played well. They've won 4 straight basketball games, including a 78-72 win against Vegas. That's a huge win there. They beat Atlanta by 11. They beat Indiana by 7. Washington by 8. And then previous to that, they lost to Washington. And then, as I mentioned, Phoenix, they've lost 3 straight games. Lost by 10, lost by 22, lost by 10. So I like the Sparks here to keep that trend going. We're going to ride that train. Give me the LA Sparks minus 7.5 for minus 115 at DraftKings. Just a reminder, hop in the Discord channel there, join the discussion. That's where I post my picks first, early and often. I'm starting to expand the Discord a little bit to talk about some gaming. So I just want that to be a place where people want to go and just converse about the things that I like to converse about. So just again, those picks for today, give me the Toronto Blue Jays on the money line in the first 5 innings, minus 125 at Bet365. Give me the Boston Red Sox on the money line in the first 5 innings for plus 106 at FanDuel. And give me the LA Sparks to cover, minus 7.5 for minus 115 at DraftKings. As always, drop a comment if you're fading or following. You can follow me across all my social channels linked in the description below. Audio is on Spotify and on Apple. Let's have a great Wednesday, and let's talk sports.